ICE. We want to go to the battle over the high court. Meanwhile, disagreement among Democrats and Republicans driving a vicious wedge throughout the country. The very latest signs of the deepening political divide. Joining us right now is former Pennsylvania Congressman Jason Altmire, author of Dead Center: How Political Polarization Divided America and What We Can Do About It. Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
The president will be announcing his decision on a Supreme Court justice on Monday, a choice that will certainly face scrutiny from the left. He addressed this issue in my exclusive interview with him on Friday. Here's what he said.
It's probably going to be vicious because the other side, all they can do is obstruct and resist. You know, the whole thing is resist. But, and maybe someday we'll be able to get along with the other side, I don't know. But right now it's only resist. That's all they want to do is stop things from happening. So they're going to try very hard. But I think it's going to go actually very quickly if I pick the right person.
Congressman, the president is calling what it is. It is vicious. We see that playing out every day. What's your take on all of this?
Well, these are very important issues. We're obviously talking about the Supreme Court. We're talking about tilting the balance of the Supreme Court towards the conservative side for probably a generation. So, of course, the Democrats are going to have concerns about that.
And what about Trump's legacy? This is a huge ordeal, getting two Supreme Court justices in his first year. How do you see this impacting his legacy?
Well, of course, it depends on how the confirmation process goes, and it depends on who he picks and the legacy of those justices. But certainly it puts the president in position to shape the impact of the court for 20 years or more. So I think he's being deliberate on good count, because he needs to pick the right person, somebody who can win confirmation, somebody who's going to make, from his perspective, the appropriate decisions. But those decisions are going to carry on long after he's left the presidency.
By the way, this is why the left is so insane over this president, because he is going to be one of the most consequential presidents we've seen in a long time, just by his federal judge and Supreme Court justice picks.
I think so. If he were to pick Judge Barrett, I think in particular that would put the Democrats in a very difficult position. In addition to having a very impressive family and resume background, she's from Indiana. That's going to put some of the targeted Democrats in a difficult position in the Senate. And she won confirmation very recently at the end of last year. So I think that pick in particular would be the pick that the Democrats would have the hardest time opposing.
Hardest time. So then they're going to have to vote for her then.
I pointed out last hour there were 3 Democrat senators. The senator from Indiana who voted for Amy Barrett, also Joe Manchin and Tim Kaine of Virginia. But on that note, it definitely seems like some, if not many, on the left, Jason, have become unhinged, and they're trying to make this purely about Roe v. Wade. And I think that when you turn this into a single issue appointment and make it about abortion, and again, the Democrats said this, that Roe v. Wade would be overturned, and it stood for 5 decades. They said that about Justice Kennedy, Clarence Thomas, David Souter, Chief Justice Roberts, and Sam Alito when they were nominated to the high court, when they were picked. And so it doesn't really ring true, despite the fact they're a louder crowd on the left nowadays because they've got social media.
Right, which is why that was the first question I asked the president on Friday. Are you going to ask your nominees beforehand what their views are on Roe v. Wade? And he said, absolutely not. Congressman.
Yeah, abortion is a very important issue, and that, along with same-sex marriage, is probably the 2 social policy issues that are most in jeopardy with the outcome of this pick. So the Democrats are focusing on those. And on both of those issues, public opinion is with the Democrats. So in addition to them being where they believe they need to be politically, they have public opinion on their side. And I think strategically they feel like that's the strongest point that they have to disrupt this nomination process. But
yeah,
it's going to come down to those.
That's the point. He gets that. I mean, right, they're trying to make it all about Roe v. Wade, but he gets that.
Right. He knows that's not a winning issue.
Right.
And if you vote, and if you're a Democrat in a Trump state and you vote against President Trump's nominee purely based on abortion, how does that help you if you're running for the Senate as a Democrat, particularly in a state like West Virginia? If you make it just about that, if you make it just about that issue, that can come back even on the left to bite you.
I think those states that everyone knows about, Indiana,